Russians are great chess players, and Mr. Putin appears to have pulled off quite an interesting gambit. The announcement that he is against a referendum being held in the short term in eastern Ukraine, which has led to outbursts of opposition and resentment from the pro-Russian demonstrators, which has been reported faithfully by rather gullible Western press, in fact puts him in a strong position to continue his campaign for the severance of eastern Ukraine and possibly its joining the Russian Federation. It will be reported that the locals are now against the Russians and the Russians don't control them. But of course they do. The core of the pro-Russian separatists are special forces and intelligence operatives of the Russian state. If Mr. Putin wanted to control the separatists, all he has to do is figuratively snap his fingers and they will all go home. But he won't do that. In fact, it will seem that the eastern Ukrainians are in fact in a spontaneous revolt. When, in a few weeks' time, there is the election in Ukraine, it probably will not take place in eastern Ukraine. There will be the referendum then, and a new regime in Kiev might then try, with a new legitimacy, to try and take over eastern Ukraine. But of course, in the eyes of the Western media, it will have lost any kind of legitimacy. This will mean that any response in favour of the new Ukrainian regime from the West, even economic, could well be diminished. It will be more difficult for Western countries to support the Ukrainian government, and Mr. Putin will have got his way in a rather subtle way. He then may try turning his attention to other countries and try the gambit there, in Moldova, and possibly even Estonia and Latvia. Western countries will not have the political will to pay the economic price for serious sanctions against Russia, and this whole thing may die down, at least for the time being, until Mr. Putin wants to have another bite at his Western periphery. Watch this space.